Hey everyone, Hannah here with SOC 101. Do you not like reading really long emails from me? Well, I'm creating a video to go over all the important stuff that we need to discuss this week because Tuesday is a holiday, we don't have class, it's election day, go vote. And Thursday, I will be out of town, so you all have a guest lecturer. Yes, the material covered by that guest lecturer will potentially be on the final exam, so show up, be respectful, and take notes. If you're sick or you have an excused absence, hopefully one of your classmates will share their notes with you so you're all caught up. All right, so there's some important stuff we need to cover. The first thing I want to start by saying is that if you go to Moodle, it was driving me a little bonkers that everything was so cluttered. So I went ahead and organized stuff by hiding material from the first half of the semester. You should already have all that content downloaded as far as the daily PowerPoints that we have, some of the videos you've watched, the recordings I've done, all that stuff. So you shouldn't need it. But if for some reason you do, email me for a specific PowerPoint or a specific recording, and I'm happy to share that with you. And then, of course, the stuff at the start is stuff that you need access to throughout the semester. So, First Day Complete, that link is what takes you to our readings for this class. So if you scroll down, you'll see some stuff that is important throughout the semester, like the portfolio check. So you're going to continue adding to the portfolio check for the second half of the semester so that I can give you a final grade for all of those entries you've done. So that's still there. There was one PowerPoint that I did before the midterm exam that could potentially be on the final. If you recall, that last chapter from the Stuff textbook wasn't on the midterm, so I left that there. And then, of course, you all have completed your Beyonce book presentations, but you don't have grades yet because those individual evals are still trickling in. So if you just want a refresher on how you're being graded for that assignment, you're welcome to click on that rubric. If you want to see specific questions from the midterm exam, just, as you prepare for your final exam and that sort of thing, you want to access how the questions were worded, stuff like that, you can have that. And then really anything from the second half of the semester after the midterm exam is available here. So the midterm rewrite stuff, PowerPoint slides, submission for extra credit, all that good stuff. The schedule changes that we made because of my travel. You have access to that. And on that note, if you download that schedule change document, it looks like this. So, we're in this area. The student presentations are finished. No class for election day. Gender-based violence and intervention, that's the guest lecture. And then when we get back on Tuesday, we're going to watch a documentary. Now, the documentary that I've historically used is Dreamworlds 3, which is available on Canopy. But increasingly, my students have said that because it does show material from music videos and other forms of media that can be a little pretty violent in nature, sometimes students find that triggering. So before we get going on Tuesday, November 15th, I'm actually going to have students vote on whether or not they'd like to watch Dreamworlds 3. Or if you would prefer, we can also watch Chris Rock's documentary about good hair, both of which are available on Canopy, both of which relate directly to the Beyonce book that we've just finished, as well as some of the chapters from the Stuff textbook. If we do Dreamworlds 3, there'll be a study guide that you can submit on Moodle, and that can be one of your portfolio entries. Or if we do the Chris Rock documentary, I'll have a writing prompt, and you can complete that for portfolio points. So either way, you'll have some bases covered in terms of earning additional portfolio point entries. And then looking ahead, you have your concept map due on Thursday, November 17th. And I will be in Atlanta for the American Society of Criminology. So we will be doing a, you know what? I'm making a change right now as I'm recording this. So instead of doing a Zoom class on Thursday, November 17th, I will record a lecture on Stuff Chapter 10, which is what you should have read in preparation for that class period. but instead of doing that lecture in real time via Zoom, I'm going to give your class an in-class workday. So you should have started your concept map at this point, but you'll be able to spend an hour and 15 minutes on Thursday, November 17th, finalizing your concept map and submitting that assignment. So I will go ahead and modify this schedule and upload those changes on Moodle. But I know I've given you some electronic examples of what your concept maps can look like, and I told you can also complete a hard copy version. So here's an example of what that'll look like. You can see it's not on notebook paper or computer paper, it's on a mini cardboard. If you need access to materials like cardboard, let me know, just email me and I'll have you connect with another professor in our department. They'll take you to the supply closet or the supply room, I guess, and help you look for some paper. But you can see that this is a traditional concept map. There's a key down here explaining all the color coding and all the connections. And then you can see that each little blurb has a definition. Now, the one critique I would have of this concept map is that the text in each of the blurbs is done in pencil. And I know that students really feared finalizing stuff. And so, if you have it in pencil, you can erase and make changes. And that's fine if you want to start doing that. But then before you submit the final version of your hard copy concept map, you'll want to go over your writing in each of those bubbles with Sharpie or marker or something like that. So a good idea might be to have this completed by the 17th, and then you can spend that hour and 15 minutes finalizing your hard copy and going over all of the drafted pencil and marker, right? But you wouldn't want to come to class on the 17th with a blank piece of cardboard and expect to be able to finish this assignment in an hour and 15 minutes. That's not realistic. So just be mindful of that. And then heading into Thanksgiving break, you will have your final exam study guide available to you. I've heard your feedback and I will be making that document a little bit smaller. Now, everyone's ears should perk up because I've received a lot of emails from your class in particular and a lot of questions on our regular exit passes about potentially making some accommodations for our final exam because y'all have stuff planned. And while, that is frustrating because I actually don't have any say over our final exam schedule, that's an administrative thing. I hear you, and as luck would have it, I was basically on the fence about whether or not to make accommodations for students who are leaving campus early. And I then got invited to speak at an official CCU campus event the day of our exam. So what I'm doing is I am opening up the exam 24 hours before our scheduled exam time. You will be able to log in at that time and take the exam anywhere you want. So you just have to have reliable Wi-Fi service. This means you can take the exam at home, at your parents' house if you're traveling really early. You can take the exam at the test center if you have accommodations. You can take the exam at the library if you need a quiet space, or your dorm if you want to feel comfortable. And you can also show up in our classroom if you want to take it there. Now, what exactly does that mean, 24 hours in advance? Well, I'm glad you asked. So if you Google Coastal Carolina University final exam schedule fall 2022, you will get this page where you can find out when all of your final exams for this semester are scheduled. So let's take a look. Our class is on Tuesday, Thursday at 4:30 p.m., which means our final exam is scheduled for Tuesday, December 13th at 4 p.m. So this means that the exam will go live on your Moodle Monday, December 12th at 4 p.m. and will be available on Moodle for you to take until Tuesday, December 13th at 6 p.m. because all final exams are for 2 hours unless you have accommodations and you get time and a half or something like that. Plan accordingly. If you're traveling on Tuesday, then that means you have to take the exam Monday the 12th. And conversely, if you're traveling on Monday the 12th, you need to make sure when you get home you have reliable internet access and you can take the exam when you're settled and situated. So make sure you plan accordingly. That's a lot of grace period to give you 24 hours. It'll still look the same logistically, so you'll log into Moodle. You have one chance to take the exam. You'll want to email me as soon as possible if anything wild happens and you do lose Wi-Fi connection. Although I really have seen Moodle's pretty good about allowing students to log back in, but we'll deal with that. We'll cross that bridge when we get there, if we get there. This also means that I'll not really be able to oversee you all taking your exams, so I will allow the exam to be open notes. This privileges those students who have taken the time and energy to fill out their final exam study guide. Because obviously, if you don't prepare, you don't study, you don't do your study guide, even with 2 hours, you're not going to be able to answer all the test questions correctly, even if it's open notes, right? So it's still privileging those students who have done that work. And then I also feel strongly that at the end of the semester, students are very stressed out with all their final exams, their final projects and papers. So I feel like this just gives you a little bit of a leg up preparing for my final exam. And then finally, the midterm rewrites were really successful, right? And that's something that I plan to implement and incorporate into my intro level classes in future semesters, which is awesome. But for final exams, you don't have that opportunity, right? Because as soon as you're finished with the final exam, you're finished with this class. So I believe that it's equitable for all students. And again, it benefits those folks who are really preparing and doing the work, that instead of being able to do rewrites, you'll be able to use your study guide and your notes to take the exam. So I hope this information helps as you plan for your visit home to see your family. And if you have any questions about any of this stuff, feel free to reach out to me. I'm very much looking forward to your concept maps. And, one more thing. A lot of students are starting to ask questions about their grade in my class. And so I am offering you all and my other section of SOC 101, I'm offering students from both classes the opportunity to schedule one-on-one meetings with me about your grade. So I think I've said this before, but I don't give grades via email, whether it's on a specific assignment or your overall class grade. I don't do that via email because I interpret that to be a breach of FERPA, which is a federal policy that protects students so that your professors can't share information about your grade and stuff like that with random people. And so with that being said, you can sign up for optional meeting times with me. So far, I only included 10 slots, but if this is a popular thing, then I'll include some additional days and times as well. But basically what we'll do is I will already have prepared when we go into the Zoom the Excel download from Moodle that it'll include all the points you've earned so far. And so I'll be able to share my screen. It'll just be you and me, and we'll go over each point, each item and each point, and make sure that nothing's missing. So like, let's say you accidentally forgot to submit free write 1 because you had an excused absence, you were sick with the flu, and you submitted that assignment late and I didn't grade it because it was submitted late. We can go back and forth with stuff like that and catch any of those mistakes now, because I don't want to wait until the end of the semester to catch stuff like that. Once we've agreed that everything is in good shape and you have all the points that you've earned, then we'll calculate your final score as of right now. That way you can go into the final exam confident knowing that this is the grade I have up until this point in my SOC 101 class. I need X number of points on the final exam to get the grade that I need for my GPA. And I hope that will be helpful and give you all some confidence going into the finals. Now, I'm not going to allow you to invite other people into the Zoom for the grade stuff, but if for some reason you need someone else to know what your grade is in SOC 101 right now, let's say you're on academic probation and someone in your frat or your sorority is worried, or your coach is worried, or your parents are worried, you can request to be made co-host of the Zoom, and I'll do that. And you can record the Zoom session if you want so that you can share it with someone else. But I don't, like I said, I really adhere to FERPA policy, and so I don't want other people to have access to this conversation. If you all choose to consent and grant that information to somebody else, that's on you, and you're more than welcome to do that. So I hope that'll help y'all. As always, if you have any questions about any upcoming assignments, class sessions, or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Have a good one.